Tonight, our special transmission as Israel proposes dismantling the relief agency responsible for distributing food in Gaza amidst concerns of looming famine. Assalamu alaikum and good evening. This is Muslim News Canada on Muslim Network TV. I'm Humaira Karodia. Today is the 177th day since Israel started its indiscriminate offensive against Palestinians. In the past 24 hours, the Israeli military has been attacking different areas in the Gaza Strip. The main focus has been the city of Khan Yunis. Israeli fighter jets have targeted a number of residential homes in these areas. Israeli forces have pulled out from Al-Shifa medical complex following a 2-week raid. Al-Shifa is Gaza's largest hospital. Israeli forces have left behind a scene of devastation during the 13-day siege of the hospital. Palestinian media office reports 400 people have been killed during the siege. There have been at least 21 patient deaths during this period. In a separate incident, at least 4 Palestinians have died today in an Israeli air attack on Al-Aqsa Hospital. The death toll from Israel's war is staggering. At the time of writing, at least 32,782 Palestinians have been killed in Israeli attacks. A report by the United Nations says another 8,000 Palestinians are buried under the rubble. 75,298 have been injured. Israel's revised death toll from Hamas's attacks stands at 1,139. The Israeli military says so far 600 of its soldiers have been killed since the onset of war. The U.S. is sending additional weapons to Israel despite growing international calls for a ceasefire. According to NBC News, the delivery comprises over 1,800 Mk-84 and 500 Mk-82 bombs. These bombs are capable of devastating entire blocks. The shipment adds to the $3.8 billion in annual military aid Israel receives from the U.S. Pressure is mounting on the UK government to disclose its assessment whether Israel is complying with international law. The news comes when a leaked conversation discloses Conservative MP Alicia Kearns tells a donor that government lawyers believe Israel has breached international humanitarian law. Kearns tells the donor the government has not announced it. Experts say such legal assessment would require the UK to seize all arms sales and intelligence sharing to Israel. MPs are urging transparency and accountability. Opposition politicians, including Shadow Foreign Secretary David Lammy, demand publication of legal advice. Labour MP Zahra Sultana is calling for the resignation of Foreign Secretary David Cameron if the allegations prove true. Solicitor Advocate Tayyib Ali suggests potential complicity in war crimes if the UK continues arms sales to Israel. The Muslim Association of Britain condemns the government's silence. It is calling for immediate action, including sanctions on Israel. The government has not responded yet and continues to evade questions on Israel's actions in Gaza. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has condemned an explosion targeting a patrol of Observer Group Lebanon. The Observer Group Lebanon is the UN's longest-running observer mission. It started in 1978 in Lebanon to confirm Israeli withdrawal from the country. The explosion has injured 3 UN military observers and a language assistant. Guterres says the peacekeepers' safety is of utmost importance. He is urging compliance with ceasefire agreements. The Blue Line border region between Lebanon and Israel has seen heightened tensions since October last year. There have been daily exchanges of fire between non-state armed groups and the Israeli Defense Forces. The UN interim force in Lebanon has reported civilian and soldier injuries in the Israeli raid. However, the Israeli army denies targeting any UN vehicle. Israel has submitted a proposal to the UN to dismantle the relief agency responsible for distributing food in Gaza. The news comes after the UN reports show that there is a looming famine in the war-besieged enclave. Israel refuses to cooperate with the agency. It says alleged staff affiliations with Hamas have strained humanitarian efforts. The proposal presented by Israeli Lieutenant General Herzi Halavi suggests transferring the United Nations Relief and Works Agency to another agency. Under the terms presented last week, around 400 of the agency's staff would initially be transferred either to the World Food Programme or to a new organization specifically created to distribute food aid in Gaza. Critics fear this move can politicize aid distribution and undermine the agency's extensive services, including healthcare and education. The agency is by far the biggest aid organization in Gaza. There were 13,000 staff members at the time the war broke out. 3,000 of these members are still working with the agency. Israel alleges that up to 11% of the agency's employees are affiliated with Hamas or Islamic Jihad. The allegations had led to the suspension of $450 million in funding by 16 major donors. Israel is yet to provide evidence for the allegations. Malaysian authorities have apprehended 3 individuals for allegedly providing firearms to an Israeli national. The 36-year-old Israeli national had been detained earlier in Kuala Lumpur. He entered Malaysia with a fake French passport from the UAE. He was carrying 6 handguns and 200 bullets. Inspector General of Police Razaruddin Hussein says the suspect's possession of both French and Israeli passports have raised concerns of espionage ties. The detained man claims he is seeking another Israeli over a family dispute. Malaysian authorities doubt his narrative. 3 Malaysian nationals, including a couple, have been arrested for aiding the Israeli suspect. Malaysian authorities have been put on high alert following the suspect's arrest. Security has been heightened for Malaysian King, Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, and other high-level figures. Malaysia is a staunch supporter of the Palestinians and a vocal critic of Israel's genocidal war on Gaza. A Montreal resident is fearful for safety after a dispute over parking escalated in what he labels a hate crime. Despite identifying as a Christian, Felician Farcaine claims he was assaulted by a group who perceived him as Muslim. Farcaine says the attackers included a teen and his father. He says they targeted him based on his appearance, threatening his life over mistaken religious identity. Farcaine was left with a jaw injury. The incident occurred in Montreal's St. Laurent borough. Farcaine is calling for intervention from authorities to prevent such incidents in the future. As North America anticipates a rare solar eclipse on April 8th, Canadian schools, particularly in eastern regions, are opting for safety measures. Concerns about eye damage and hazardous mid-afternoon darkness have prompted many school districts to cancel classes. While some criticize the miseducational experience, school authorities say safety remains the priority. However, Montreal scientists criticize the Quebec's government's closure recommendation. Some are advocating for supervised viewing events. The event is expected to last more than 2 hours during mid or late afternoon. Looking at the sun for a longer period increases the risk of losing significant amount of central vision. Thank you for watching. Our news is produced by Muslim Network TV, which is a not-for-profit organization. We need your support for donations. Please scan the QR code on our broadcast or visit muslimnetwork.tv to donate now, so we can continue to amplify the voices of Muslims in Canada and abroad.